إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم بعثه الله رحمة للعالمين ونصلي عليه في الأولين وفي الآخرين وفي الملأ الأعلى يا رب العالمين. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما جاء في محكم التنزيل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. Dear brothers and sisters, we always begin with praise and gratitude. The natural response of one who has recognized the vast, compassionate, affectionate love and mercy that Allah has for all of us. He gave us this life, He created us, and we are constantly surrounded with so many favors and blessings that we soak up every day. So we say Alhamdulillah. All thanks and all gratitude are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as that attitude is there, it requires a certain mentality that is broadcast, what we call giving witness. The Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is filled with teachings and guidance about being a witness to something and giving witness to some legal binding or legally influential reality. The very foundation of Islamic identity, the foundation of Muslim expression comes first as shahadatain, the declaration of our witness to who we are in relation to our Creator. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is rooted in the very beginning of our existence. وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَىٰ شَهِدْنَا. So the Quran says there was a time when God created all human beings. Before He takes that soul He has created of a heavenly life force that He has given to it, before that soul is put into its mother, He gives it awareness. And that soul knows that I'm in the presence of my Maker. The soul feels it and knows it. So then the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He communicates to that soul. Am I your Lord? And then that soul responds, of course, you're my Lord. That soul only knows that it just came into existence and this is the one that brought me here. It knows it. So that soul is then put in the mother's womb and then it is born into the world where we're all at. This, my dear brothers and sisters, is why most of the people, 90-some percentile, have always believed in a Creator, a Supreme Being. If you think about it, you could just be born and never think about a Creator. But there's a natural inclination, and there were amazing people sent to confirm that natural inclination, who are called prophets. And those prophets had miraculous impact on the people who they dealt with. They had miracles. That's how we knew who they were. Right? And so this is the fundamental existence. Even atheists nowadays, if you ever get to know an atheist, they are very religious, non-religious people. When I say that, I mean they're aggressive with their lack of belief in God. Right? This is ridiculous. This is the most, you might as well believe in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and so forth. Right? This is the way they are. They think that it's like Zeus and those Greek idols and all that. That's the way they talk to you. These same atheists, many of them, if I'm going to say all of them, at some point in their life, after they have talked like that, on more than one occasion, something bad will happen, death will come to them, and they will all of a sudden become a believer. God, if you're only there, then help me out, or help so-and-so out, right? Because it's built in. It's part of who our soul, our life force, our conscious moral awareness is very much aware of it. The Holy Quran teaches us, how do we give witness? Right? Because, see, right, when you say, I'm a Muslim, what are you saying? You're saying, I live for the will of God. I'm not going to just follow my desires, and I'm not going to follow some other person's desires. I'm going to live my life doing what I know the Creator of existence is pleased with. What will make Him happy with me? What will make me fulfill that which created with me, the purpose of life. That's what a Muslim is, right? Secularism says, no, religion is something on the side. It doesn't influence your whole life and all of your attitudes and interactions with people. It's just something you compartmentalize. One day of the week you get holy, maybe 1 or 2 times a year, you have a holiday and you're religious. When you're around other people who are religious, you say and do things that are very identifying as such and such religion, right? Islam is saying, no. We are called, when we say ash-shahada, a lot of people think, what is shahada? Well, when some new guy, mashallah, comes and he wants to become, we say ashhadu, ashhadu, they think that's shahada. That's a very small part of what it means to be a Muslim and to live shahada. The reason why it's the first pillar of Islamic expression, once your faith is there, it has to be known. People have to know that from you every day. When you go around dealing with people, they should feel and know Islam from dealing with you. Now the question is, are we really Muslim? That's a question we need to have with ourselves. Do many people that I know who are not Muslim, do they not know anything about Islam as a result of them knowing me? If that is the case, we're in trouble. And it is the case. Why? Look at the current political environment we live in. The number one factor is the absence of the human element. People don't feel that they know and appreciate Islam because Muslims are proud representatives of their faith, right? It's very important, right? And so that's why the Quran told us how Islam and this message will make you a witness to go out and give witness. كَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِمَاذا؟ لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. With this book, you have been made a nation that is described as middle way, as moderate, as balanced, as not one extreme or another. We don't become fanatical and aggressive and harsh, and we're not complacent and compromising and trying to hide and sneak between the cracks of those who don't know. We're in the middle. That's the prophetic model. So when people are trying to tell you, where are the moderate Muslims? That's a trick. It's a linguistic marketing ploy to make you guilty of something, right? When I say guilty of something, if you say you're a Muslim, by nature you should be moderate. That's the Islam by itself. Pure Orthodox fundamentalist Islam is to be moderate, to be in the middle, not too harsh and judgmental and forceful with your ways and your thoughts, and at the same time not complacent and giving in and compromising because that's where you'll fit in with people and that's what they want to hear and see from you, right? You're in the middle. You are clearly who you are, proud and dignified, and you represent and you bring up points that shine the light of Islam in your word and deed, right? So Islam is telling us that we're balanced. This is why right now when people say, okay, are you a Republican or a Democrat? You're free to choose, and that's everybody's personal business to make that decision. I tell them I'm an independent. They say, why? They say, because I was told in my scripture that number one, I am a balanced, moderate, in the middle path. I don't go to one extreme or the other by the nature of my religion. And number two, I don't compartmentalize myself with one group and then say I'm completely against everything from this group and I'm with this group. This is not Islamic theology or philosophy. Rather, there are things in the platform of Republicans that I agree with, and there are things in the platform of Democrats that I agree with. But at the end of the day, I have to find out, where do I present to society a good standard of morals and ethics? How do I represent that individually in my life, with my family, in my business, at my school where I go, no matter where it is? How am I representing that? And how can I bring a good influence to those around me? So no one can judge me because I'm judging myself and trying to present myself according to my spiritual values, right? So we have to be giving this witness. Then if we are truly understanding Islam, a lot of brothers, they come to me and say, man, I'm trying to argue with my neighbor. I'm trying to argue with my coworker. I'm trying to convince him his religion is wrong and ours is right. Brother, that is not Islam. That attitude is not the way of a true Muslim. That is not a balance. Build a bridge, get to know that person, and then have a discussion where you're respecting that he has his view, you have your view, and you're not trying to force, you're not trying to condemn or attack people. That's not Islamic behavior. Then you got other people that try to hide, that change their name from a clearly Muslim name and so forth, right? And then obviously people can't pronounce your name, it makes sense. But Muhammad, we can't change Muhammad, please. Let's stick with Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Let's stick with that one, right? And so, we need to be people who are known who we are and what we live for, and we are not fearing what they might think. A lot of people, well, if I stand up for my values, or I communicate my values, or I go pray when others are around, or if I step away from a gathering because people are drinking and things like that, then they might think that, who cares what they think? A Muslim is one who's trying to please God. That's who we are. We're trying to please the existence that our soul was built upon, right? The fundamental reality of existence. We have to be in terms with that. So the Quran gives us a guidance about how do we stand up for witness that the rest of the world historically has always failed. And that is when you identify yourself. Like, usually people are tribalistic. Whether it be from an ethnic tribe or like some sort of an ideology or philosophy tribe. It's like us and them. Most people gather like that. It's a psychological and sociological reality you cannot hide from, right? That's how people function, right? The Muslim is not like that. The Muslim is ready to say, that person who does sinful things and lives a sinful life has some good, or they have some rights that I will protect. Whereas their buddies want them to say, those are all no good because they did this, or they're that, or they represent this. You see? That's not the Islamic character. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُونُوا قَوَّامِينَ لِلَّهِ شُهَدَاءَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. This ayah is fundamental in our understanding of who we are and how we are projecting ourselves to the world. O you who believe, stand up firmly. Let yourself be known for those who are representing justice for the sake of Allah. Right? Do not allow your dislike for someone, their lifestyle, their character, that maybe they're an enemy to you, to make you be unjust towards them. See, some people might say, well, those are disbelievers, so those are all like this. And it's the same attitude as those are the Muslims and they're all like that. Right? Those are the Jews, those are the this, those are the blacks, those are the... That's not Islam. Islam is totally against this mentality. We give everybody the opportunity to be who they are. So what do we learn from this ayah? We learn that we can appreciate and respect the good that someone represents and support that in them and build a bridge with them on that, even though they have things very much against Islam that they do live by or promote. Somebody might be saying, it sounds like he's twisting this thing around into some American Western Islam here. This is not the case. This is the example of Rasulullah ﷺ in many examples. We'll begin listening to them, inshallah. The first example is the Prophet ﷺ. He mentioned in Medina to his companions. He said, لقد شهدت في دار عبد الله بن جدعان حلفا لو دعيت به في الإسلام لأجبت. What happened was, before the Prophet ﷺ had received any revelations, there was a big battle that took place, a war that broke out between the Quraysh and some other people there. And basically the idea was some people in Quraysh were saying tribalism over everything. We support our people, oppressor or oppressed, either way. We support them. And so if these people are doing this and that, we can do whatever we want with them. Others said, no, we have to be fair to people. We cannot be forceful and rigid to people who have done nothing wrong. We cannot be unjust. So the Prophet ﷺ sided obviously with that group. Now, this group that he sided with are polytheists. The government system they live in is tribalism. Tribalism is to Arabia back in the time of Prophet as democracy is to the world we live in now. That's a fair analogy. This is a political system and the people who are mostly Christian, Jew, atheist, whatever. Okay? And that was a political system, polytheist, and that's how people function. They had certain policies and attitudes within the tribalist system. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, if I was called as your Prophet, fil Islam, to such a gathering where there was a just cause that I can work with, I'm not going to allow the fact that they're polytheist and their political system is against my religion to make me not take part in it. This was emphasized by the Prophet ﷺ taking his uncle Abu Talib, who was a polytheist, worshipping idols, as his protector. It's called ijara. It is a fundamental part of a political system of tribalism of the polytheist society of Arabia back then. He took that. He was willing. He didn't say, Abu Talib, I will not take your support because you are a polytheist and one of the head political leaders within the system that we live. You are no good. You're a polytheist. It's a shirk akbar al-kabair. He didn't say that. Some people are trying to act like that's an argument. This is contrary to the example of the Prophet ﷺ. And Najashi, who was he? A Christian king who was known for Christianity. Back then, Christianity was as it is today. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's how they had in Christianity. They deified Jesus. They said he came to die for their sins. That has been Christianity since less than the 3rd century after Jesus. All across the board. They killed people who chose not to accept this standard. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ in the 7th century. This is well established. He didn't say, well, you must go out and, take care of yourselves in the desert somewhere. He said, there is a Christian guy who's the ruler of a Christian land that's ruled by Christian laws. Okay? But I believe there is good in him and there is a justice that will benefit you as believers. Go there and live under him and take his protection. This is the Prophet ﷺ. And he did the same with Mut'im ibn Adi. The same thing is emphasized in the concept of zakat. There's something called mu'allafa qulubuhum. The Prophet ﷺ, some of his companions got confused. When there was some Quraysh towards the end of his life that still haven't become Muslim. They're not Muslim. They're polytheists. Part of the tribalist polytheistic Quraysh thing. So when the Prophet ﷺ had some zakat, he said, give it to them. Some of the companions, he said, mu'allafa qulubuhum. This is if you go into the tafsir and you go into the books of Islamic law, mu'allafa qulubuhum, a type of zakat, a type of financial support that would go to someone who's not Muslim, who could benefit the Muslims, or we could bring them closer to a good connection and bond with them. Or maybe perhaps one day they'll become Muslim. Right? Somebody says, it sounds like you're bribing. No, you're not. You're giving people a gift because you want to build better relationships with them. Everybody does it. Like if somebody said, well, your Islamic system is trying to... What do you think lobbying is? The whole entire American political system is functioning on this. Come on, man. Don't try to make us out to be the bad guy. You guys stole our concept and called it America. Right? It's a beautiful thing when you study. All the great things and all the beautiful systems in our religion have been translated into this society. And then they've added some other things. So we're being told in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ and in the example of the Holy Quran to be witness. If you're being called to witness, you have to express it. We are moral, conscious beings who see things and have a moral foundation. We have to say, this is what we feel is the best thing. We feel this is the worst of two evils. We are obligated to do that. When it says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِشَهَادَاتِهِمْ قَائِمُونَ, the believers who will go to heaven, there are those that when they give a witness, they stand up for it. Meaning, they don't just sit with their friends talking about politics, drinking tea, right? When they're said, this is the day to vote, they go and they put their vote in, right? If some candidate locally here is saying, we don't want to know what you're about, and we're saying we like this candidate. When we don't give him any support or her any support or whatever, then we're just sitting there, we're not qa'imin بالشهادة. We're mutakallimin jalisin min dun fa'ida. This is what we'll be. People just sitting around talking. We have to be qa'imin, stand up for it, put it into play. The Quran says, وَلَا تَكْتُمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ وَمَنْ يَكْتُمْهَا فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُهُ. Do not hide your witness. What is the tafsir of this ayah? Somebody says, we want you to give witness about these two people. One of them is going to rule you whether you like it or not. Which one do you think is better for you? If you hide it and you don't go, the Quran said, فَإِنَّهُ آثِمٌ قَلْبُهُ. That person is a sinner in their heart. This is the Quran. We're not giving opinions. This is not my opinion. This is ayah, hadith, everything. Okay? You may have heard otherwise. There's a certain attitude that we have to fix in our community. This certain suspect everything West, haram, haram, haram. We've got to tone that down and look and review our religion in its pure teachings from the great scholars, and we will come to the right conclusions, and it will be in our best interest. That's the nature of our religion. صالح لكل زمان ومكان وظروف. It's in its best for people, no matter where they live and what time. And it will give them guidance about how to deal with things very relevant to where they're living at that time. So the Prophet ﷺ, he dealt with people and he lived in this society, and we see he benefited from it. Somebody might say, well, what are you saying? I'm saying the Mufti Ibrahim Desai, he is of Dar al-Ulum Deoband, he is the top scholar of South Africa, the head of their Iftar Council. Here's his fatwa. Since voting is a testimony, giving your shahada, and being aware that a particular party or candidate will be more willing to fulfill our Islamic rights, not to vote for this party or candidate will be tantamount to transgression and a breach of Allah's trust. This is Mufti Ibrahim Desai of South Africa, Dar al-Ulum Deoband. Okay? Mufti Muhammad ibn Adam al-Kawthari, Dar al-Ifta, he was one of the students of Imam Mufti Taqiyuddin Usmani, the top Pakistani scholar in the world on the councils. He is on the Fiqh Council of England. He says, the Prophet ﷺ has said, if people see an oppressor and don't prevent him, then it is very likely that Allah will include all of them in the punishment. إِذَا رَأَى النَّاسُ الظَّالِمَ فَلَمْ يَأْخُذُوا عَلَى يَدِهِ فَأَوْشَكَ أَنْ يَعُمَّهُمُ اللَّهُ بِالْعِقَابِ. This is a hadith, Sahih, Sunan Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood. If we saw an oppressor and that person's talking oppression against Muslims, this is no, that Muslims, they're a problem, and then you don't do anything about it when you're being given and called to and given the right and the opportunity to do something about it, no matter how you may look at it as not a big deal, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you right now, the groups in this society that have weight politically and thus the media gives them respect are the people who have lobbied the political system with their wealth, as we saw the Prophet ﷺ do, as is revealed in the Holy Quran, and they're the people who block vote. They get a large vote together and they put it in this way. We see the problem we found ourselves in. There's like 6-7 million Muslims here in America. We're in a situation where we have not mobilized ourselves to understand the society we live in and how it empowers us. A lot of us, I understand. I lived overseas and I remember talking about politics in a particular country, but they said, don't. They're going to come get us. There's an attitude that, number one, the political system is against you and you can't solve it. Or number two, it doesn't matter. Voting doesn't mean anything. Here it does. It's proven time and time again. Right? So, at the end of the day, when we're known as a mobilized community with a political influence, with a structured, strategic attitude towards the society we live in, and we've built bridges with others who agree with us who are not Muslim, that's where we will see a very different narrative in the media. We'll see a very different narrative in the political cycle. I'm very uncomfortable that probably the best case scenario is saying, oh, we need a bridge with Muslims because they'll tell us who their terrorist friends are in their community. That's the best option right now. That's where we're at. As though we have terrorists running around here or something like that. As though that's a real statement. But that's the statement. So it's very important that we understand our role and mobilize ourselves. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and purify us. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We take the take home from the sermon. Number one, if I say I'm Muslim, then I am now carrying a big responsibility, a huge trust that I represent Islam. We know that Islam is a pure divine reality of how to live and how to connect with your Creator. how do you live that life that's pleasing to Him? Islam is pure and lofty. Muslims, not so much so. Many of us fall up short. All of us fall up short in some way or another, but much of us are not doing a great job. We know that, and some fair, rational people know that. But many people are saying, look, you guys are saying you're Muslim. I don't see great things from you. I don't see you having a place in society. I see you being very reclusive, staying with your home, in your ethnic group, in your mosque, in your halal restaurant, and then back again. I don't see what your value is to the rest of society. I see you here. I've heard this said by pundits. They're parasites. They come here just to suck off America, and they don't establish themselves as a reputable entity that is known by its fellow countrymen as something that we understand and we see their value. We have great value to offer. And that's the witness we give with our character, our words, and our deed. We don't shy away from who we are and what we represent, number one. Number two, the political process here. Unfortunately, we live in probably the most disadvantaged state to try to benefit ourselves on a national level, right? Right now, I think the anti-Muslim vote is looking about 20 points ahead of the one who's saying we want to protect the rights of Muslims in America, right? That's where we're at right now. That doesn't make us say we will not vote then. We need to be registered. We need to be having somebody, because right now as a 501c3, as a charitable or a organization that is non-profit, okay, we cannot take a position politically. We'll say this party or that party. We can say from our religion, anyone who's against us and campaigns against our people, we're not going to be with that. That's a moral issue. It has nothing to do with the party. If one or the other took that position, we're going to be against it, right? No matter who it is, right? And we are obligated to vote in that direction, morally speaking, right? But I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think when I was there, that a mayoral election was decided by 300 some votes. We have that in the room here. When the city council and the mayor and the school board of things, when those people see that there's a group of a couple thousand votes that are very well informed and very well strategized, people from their community has formed a political action committee outside, and even built bridges with other people who aren't necessarily from their religion but believe and accept certain ideas that are overlapping between their value systems. Those people will get a very strong level of respect. So this is where we need to see our role. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. Ya Allah, guide our hearts with your holy book and the example of your holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, make us a people who shine the light of Islam, that make Islam be known for what it is, a beautiful system of divine beauty. Ya Allah, please forgive us for our laziness, our weakness. Please forgive us for making excuses why we don't practice or follow Islam or be part of the mosque and its programs. Ya Allah, inspire our hearts to work and struggle and strive and sacrifice for your cause, putting our wealth and our self for your benefit in this world. Ya Allah, please make us be people who are known to benefit others. As your Prophet said, the best and most beloved to you, to Allah, is those most beneficial to those around you. Ya Allah, please remove from the Muslim community nitpicky division and argumentative attacking of each other. Ya Allah, please unify us on the fundamental realities that make us who we are, the overarching principles you revealed in the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ's example. Ya Allah, please help us to work together. Please facilitate ourselves as families, as communities, to mobilize your cause of justice, of righteousness, of piety, and to remove from us transgression and sin and enmity. Ya Allah, please be our guide, be by our side, do not be against us, do not allow those who wish evil against us to succeed. Ya Allah, they do not stop you in your will. You are the overwhelming, overpowerful force. Bring your force to bring good in the world and facilitate us to be your representatives, that people can see what Islam is as it was always from Adam and Eve until Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And please send your peace and blessings and mercy upon Muhammad and all of those who follow him until the day of judgment. Welcome as-salam.